We just finished filming the False Trade-Off podcast with Spela and Angie, researchers who have studied the impact of career coaching on the parental leave experience. And here are the 4 most interesting things that I took away from this conversation. The first thing that they talked about that I found really impactful is this concept around meaningful work. That what they found in their research to be so interesting is that in these career coaching sessions before folks go on leave, they found over and over and over again that the conversations were all about meaningful work. How do they envision their life looking as they return to work? And they're doing this work before they even get close to their parental leave. The way that they described it in this episode, I loved to hear because it is exactly what we see in our coaching program. And I think it's a misconception that a lot of people have. A lot of people don't understand that as you are approaching parental leave, your fears and anxieties and focus is very much on your career. The second biggest thing that they talked about that really stuck with me is about how people are quitting their jobs, not to drop out of the workforce, but to move on and go somewhere else. And this is something that I have seen anecdotally, but it was just so validating to hear them say in their research, this is also what they found, that when there is attrition, it's not attrition for someone to stay home. It's generally for them to switch companies to move to a place that is more supportive of working parents. The third most interesting thing that we discussed in this episode is around this concept of the right timing to have career coaching sessions to experience the maximum impact on retention for parental leave. And we got into this really interesting conversation, which is basically if they were to move on to a next stage of research, they would like to look into that question. When is it most impactful to have a career coach? Their hypothesis, which I fully agree with, is that it is actually most impactful for most people to have coaching before they go on leave. And the reason why this can sound surprising is that oftentimes people think, well, you need return to work coaching. We need to focus on building a return to work program. But actually, what they suspect based on what they learned in their research and what I have personally seen based on our experience at Parentaly is oftentimes it is that pre-leave coaching that is more impactful. Because if you wait to give someone coaching for when they return to work, it can be too late. And finally, we talked a bit about benevolent sexism and how as we personally were going through parental leave, we didn't really know what that was and we weren't aware of it happening. And now in hindsight, and especially because they and I have spent so much time studying this space, we now understand how incredibly prevalent and damaging benevolent sexism can be. What does that mean? It's this concept of managers, especially, or even other coworkers, wanting to do the right thing. They have great intentions. They want to be really supportive. And so they treat especially pregnant women with sort of kid gloves. Like, I'm going to make this really easy on her because she's about to go on leave, or I don't want to ask her to leave her children, or she's pregnant, so she probably won't want to be working on like a really challenging project. They're coming from a good place, but it is actually very damaging for that person's career, potentially. And so we had a good conversation about how that is also a really important part of this problem. And so the answer to how to support parents through parental leave is not just career coaching. There's also a component that we all need to be thinking about of what do we do for managers to make sure that they are not participating in benevolent sexism and discrimination.